as we jump into this, I'm going to share my screen and we'll dive into our tool. And so let me just maximize my screen. And I'm actually going to pull up a case that I'm going to put in, and then we'll go through a case that hopefully we'll have time that we can go through a case that someone can toss in. But um, I'm going to. Let's see if I just pull up a previous case because I wanted to show something that I actually thought was pretty cool that we just recently added. So I'm just going to go to John in this example. So he previously, let's see what he started with. So kind of just as I'm scrolling through, you can kind of see how I'm going. I'm actually going to back up a little bit so I can explain this. So from my dashboard or from CRM, if I scroll down, it'll have recently viewed clients. Or if I go to CRM, it'll pull all the clients that I've done. So if I click on John for an example, it's going to basically take me to the very bottom. And if as I scroll up, it's going to go through all the history of what we've done. This is great if you've gone through different iterations of kind of product examples or illustrations or whatever that you can kind of see what's done. Or if you've asked questions with the AI, you can find all of that right here. Also, from like a compliance standpoint, you have kind of a full history of everything that you can go through as well. And so this case, we started it. John was a 60-year-old male in Arizona with a $100,000 IRA that we're looking at options for. And so I'm not going to get too much into that. What we recently added is two things that are very helpful. With AI in general, if you've had experience using AI is great if you know how to use it, but your ability is basically limited on how you prompt or ask AI what to do. I mean, if you have AI and you don't really know what to ask or how to use it, like it can be the best thing in the world, but you may not get a lot of value from it because you don't know how to use it. I remember when ChatGPT came out. I started using it 2 years ago. Initially, I wasn't like, people were talking about how awesome it was and how like resourceful they were with using it. But like I basically could do some stuff, but I was using it almost like Google, where I just didn't understand kind of the capability and how I should use that. And a lot of that was with prompts. And prompts are basically like instructions to type into it. And so we've noticed, I feel like the same scenario like that has been playing out with GrantAI, is it's great, it can do a lot of things, but the limitation is, what can it do? How should I use it? All of that. And in the past, we've had some kind of initial prompts, but what we've done to add and make it easier is you can see right here at the bottom of this, I have my little GrantAI box. If I click over this light bulb, it'll actually give me prompts by different categories. We added this last week, and I didn't know until I was just messing around with it on a call on Monday, and I saw this pop up, and it was pretty good. And so basically, I have client discovery. I can go through. Here's some prompts that I can put in: research and compare, quote by product, quote by strategy, illustration tools, objection handling, and you can kind of see all of these. And so, like, let's say for an example, I'd go into um, market might go up. I'll just tap onto that. This is an objection. And so it fills in this prompt. So now, right now you can see it fills in all of that. And I'll click on send message. And so basically it'll send that in. And so the prompt, it says, my client says, what if the market goes up and I miss out? Help me address this objection by showing FIA, upside participation, comparing FIA caps versus actual market returns, explaining protection versus loss recovery time, and positioning annuities as a portfolio allocation, not all or nothing. And so pretty detailed. And what it's going to do basically is it's now going to go through and give me a detailed um, outline of how I could handle that objection. What if the market goes up and I miss out? Very common objection people probably already have, or a general question people have, especially with annuities. And so now it's going to basically frame what and how I could respond to that. And so basically it has my framework, part one, part two, and it's going to give kind of a breakdown of comparison, it looks like, with market portfolio. And it basically builds the argument for you right there that you can utilize. Um, and you can see, I'm not going to go through this in like in a ton of detail, but it basically gives you the idea of how it's structuring that presentation for you. And it's actually going to give you an examples. So as we've added to Grant AI, we've tried to make it more the responses be very structured and thorough so that as you're prepping for a meeting and going through kind of, product recommendations or building out a case for your prospective client, you have kind of all the um uh um, you have all the kind of data behind you on what you need or firepower, so to speak, so that as they ask questions or things pop up, you're very prepared on how you respond to that. So again, if I go back to that light bulb, that's how I got there. I can get there from anywhere. So if I'm on, my dashboard or I click on Grant AI, it's going to take me back to that page that I was at. At any point where you have your Grant AI chat box pop up, I'll click on that light bulb and I'll just go through that. So now let's say I wanted to put this and email the client. I'll click on that. It'll put in the prompt to create a email and it'll set that up right now and then basically go through what I covered and create an email that I can just basically then send out to the prospective client. I just copy and paste this and then I'm good to go. And so we'll wait for this to finalize. And again, you can take this a lot of times I'll use AI in general for email and I'll use it as a template where it's kind of my draft. And then I'll basically edit things, put it in my own words, maybe add additional context, but it gives a lot of like the initial legwork. And then you just basically kind of edit it from there. And so again, light bulb, here's all the prompts. It's not going to cover everything, but it's going to cover a lot. So now, you may not think of how I could use this or how I could help with this case or this scenario, whatever. And you have the ability to hop in and do that right now. And so that's our new feature that we just added. An additional new feature that we just added, and I'm not going to really get into this one. We'll probably spend more time next week on this with an actual example or the following week, is I have PDF documents. You can actually upload PDF documents now, and Grant AI will scan it and then analyze it. So things like one use case that we had someone pop in is they had a client that had an old variable annuity, and they wanted to compare that with if there's anything else out in the market that's better that they could use, more competitive. And so they uploaded a statement of that variable annuity. It ran analysis, and then it basically made recommendations of potential products that it can move to. And so statements, any PDF that you need analyzing or comparison or anything like that, that's something that we added, and we'll go through that once the statement I have had someone's personal information on it. I didn't have a chance to take all that out, and so I'll save that for another time where we can dive into that more detail. But again, in the last week, those are two pretty useful features that we've added to our tool. Um, someone does not have the light bulb. I will check on that, Sandra. I'm not sure why. But thanks for bringing that up. All right, cool. Let's hop back out and let's go through um a actual case right now. I'm going to do it through the Navigator today. So in the past, we've gone just typing in the case to Grant AI. I'm going to utilize the Navigator, and we're going to go through kind of our old flow of things um, with a um, with the flow of them. So I'm just reading Patrick's question. How does Grant AI know what product to move into? So based off of there's a lot behind that. And so it matters on how much detail you have with this prospective lead. So if you basically just have like you don't really have any information, it's just going to compare more. I have someone who's, has this product and they're looking at another product, and it will basically analyze and see what other products are, comparison potentially better. The more information you have, the better the product recommendation can be. So obviously, like age, state, asset they're looking for. What's the end goal? Is it an income? Is it accumulation? Is it kind of mixing it? Are they looking for a good death benefit? Are they looking for an LTC rider? So the more details you can put into it, the better the product recommendation can be. If you're very vague, then it's going to be kind of just a more blanketed recommendation, which should still be good and be kind of tailored toward that scenario. But the more detail you can give it, the more it can specifically cater or tailor that recommendation to. And so for today's example, I'm going to go through our Navigator tool. I'm going to use kind of show you how AI has been augmented with that. This is really good for if you're like presenting to a client and let's say that you're selling virtually and you want to share your screen. I mean, obviously you can do this in person too, but I can come up, I can go through this video. This basic video is going to, I'm not going to have you guys watch it, but it's about 7 minutes long. It basically educates or kind of shows, it looks like Balboa Island. It shows how annuities work, kind of shows the value of them, and gives them kind of a basic foundation of how annuities are set up and the real benefit. So that's, you can share and go through that. But let's say that we're with customer and clients like, okay, I'm looking for accumulation. And now what's going to do is you're going to go through a series of six different questions to help narrow down which product would be best for them. So let's say in this case, they're looking for market protected exposure. So you can see guaranteed growth. I'm going to go with the FIA instead of a MICA for this example. So we'll go with market protected exposure. Next up is how much are we working with? So we'll say 100,000. We'll just go with the base amount. Are they contributing in the future? Let's just say this is a lump sum. We'll say it's a rollover IRA or something. Fees, allow fees, no fees. Let's go no fees on this one. Actually, let's go to fees and see what we get from there. Plans to touch the funds. Let's say they need ability to access at least 10%. Again, this is basically just sorting out which products have those options so it can sort through them. We'll say they need funds in 8 years. And then we'll stick with well-established indexes, so like S&P 500, NASDAQ, Russell. And then we'll go with any rating in this case. All right, so now what it's going to do is it's going to sort through and give me 3 recommended products that kind of fall within those. And so you can see here's the 3 products that I have. I can just jump into illustration right now, but how we've augmented this, and if you've used Annuities Genius in the past, we've always had the Navigator tool. That's been one of our more popular tools. I can go to Start AI Analysis, and it's now going to analyze how it made these recommendations and then how each product kind of falls into how it was recommended. And it's going to go through kind of the primary recommendation and the secondary recommendation. So basically, it'll kind of go through, in this case, the Nassau product initially. It'll go and critique the product, highlight some of the details. And what's cool about this is when you're meeting with a customer or you're prepping for a meeting, kind of however you're utilizing it. A lot of the times, if you had a question or wanted to jump in, you would have to go into here, go into like the annuity brochure or annuity info page and kind of find that. This basically is going to analyze all of that. So most of like the commonly asked questions or data points that you would need as the agent and advisor will pop up right here, and it just makes it a lot easier to find. And so a lot of this is just simplifying things and expediting your ability to find the right product. So here's kind of what it looks like, how it addresses needs. Here's how it's unique for product number 2, 3, comparing the options. Here's comparison, likely questions that'll pop up. And it gives all that right there. So that kind of gives you a quick analysis of that. So now if I go into, actually, I'm not going to go into deep research. Let's go to illustrate. So let's go to this Nassau product and we will, actually, let's go to Speeda. I'll go to illustrate. This will open up the illustration page. And so now it kind of gives me the guaranteed values. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So I have allocations. So here's the options to allocate in that you can choose from. Another AI feature that we've added to make this easier is the Smart Allocate. So if I click on Smart Allocate, it'll actually go through and do a quick analysis, do some back testing with the index blends, and then it will actually create the allocation mix. Typically, it's going to be the default is 1-year accounts, and it'll go through why this mix. So typically, we'll give 4 to 5 bullet points on why it made this allocation. And again, a lot of this is just having that firepower so that you have the confidence when you're presenting. You kind of have all your bases covered with your client. So now I have my allocation. If I go to next step, customer withdrawals, not going to worry about that right now. And then I can basically have kind of a whole breakdown of this that I can then have kind of the detailed um, uh, illustration that was created by Annuity's genius. And I can, if I need to share this or go into basically go through this with the client, I can kind of take it as much as I want. I can download the report, send that to them. Again, here's all the annuity details. If I needed any of that, I basically have everything right there ready to go. Um, so that's get out of this page. So that's going through and utilizing the AI, not necessarily from like the case building perspective, but more analyzing. So going from the Navigator tool, doing a deep analysis of it, and then utilizing the smart allocation and basically plugging that into the example that we did. And so those are kind of two other ways that you can utilize the GrantAI. I'm just going to go through any more questions pop up. Nothing so far. Any questions that anyone has thus far that we've gone into from any of this? If not, let's go back over and let's go through a case. And so does anyone have a example case that we can throw into GrantAI and see what we have? Um, any takers? If you just want to put it in the chat and I can go through and pop it in to see what we have. Give someone just a second to give you guys, whoever wants to throw it in, a second to type it in, and then we will go through it. All right, let's see what we have. Preferred annuity companies. I mean, we're fairly when it comes to kind of preferred annuity individual carriers companies, we don't necessarily have a preference for one. We're switching with that. It comes down to what they have. So obviously, like rating, what product features they have, riders, all of that kind of comes into how the recommendations are made. There's not like one that we really like or that's paying us or anything like that. That's like, oh, we're going to recommend them. It's all based off of that specific client scenario. Um, all right, so I'm going through. All right, Patrick, let's go his. He was fast on the typer on typing it. And so we'll go with him. Male, 62, 200K income in 8 years. Copy and paste that. Pat, I'm gonna say, say he's in. We'll say he's in Alabama, just for product's sake. I got a process case now, and it's going to first pop up new client page. So I'll name this person. We'll name this person Carrie. I don't know, it's kind of random, but now we'll create case. Um, so it didn't, I can select let's just say this is let's say this is non-qualified money. I'll go create client. And then it basically takes me to this page. So here's prompts that it has set up to if I want to utilize any of these prompts. In this case, I'm just going to go create annuity report with best fitting option. So it's taken Carrie 62, needs income when he's 70 in this case in 8 years. I put in Alabama, $200,000 of non-qualified money. Let's see what it does. And so it's basically just going to reiterate what that client profile was and what the general strategy was. In this case, it's going to look for income options and it's going to analyze everything. So it looks like it basically has an initial product recommendation. It has three for this one specifically, and it'll now rank them and go through why it recommended solution number one, which in this case is the market future income index product. It'll go through why it selected initially an FIA product with an income rider. Um, so if I scroll down to where it was, okay, so why the product, kind of bullet points or kind of things that make it look advantageous. It does a analysis or comparison between the three recommendations that it made. In this one, it looks like here's my comparison as far as monthly income goes. So it looks like it's pretty close, actually. Primary recommendation, why did it recommend this? Kind of different features, long-term care protection if you're unavailable, doubles this. So it does have that LTC option you had mentioned. And then alternative option number one, and then I have all those right here. So basically, I have those three products. Um, let's use the little light bulb. So let's go to um, objection handling. Let's say a fees one. So fees are too high. Let's see what comes up with that one. So my client says annuity fees are too high. A common, I feel like a lot of people think that it's just kind of a common um, concern people potentially have. And now it's going to set up that objection handling for fees, and it will give me a fee breakdown as well. And so it's going to basically do a transparent analysis, and I can see kind of a breakdown of this specific product. So I have my income rider fee, any additional fees. So total fee is 1.25%. Gives context. It's going to compare alternative investments now. So that's key because typically someone's be like, annuities is too high. I'm going to keep it with my financial advisor, or I'm going to keep it with, my mutual fund or whatever. And a lot of those, from a comparison standpoint, are going to be about the same from a fee standpoint. And so putting it in perspective definitely helps your argument. And so now it's going to be like, okay, yeah, you know what, you have a mutual fund right now. Maybe your expense ratio is lower or higher. It could vary, obviously, based on the fund. But in comparison, here's what you get. And you can basically now see it has pretty compelling features on this one. And again, we're just doing this in real time. This is if we're kind of talking through this case. But you can imagine if you basically are going through this and you have a question pop up, this is very thorough on what it's doing, and now it's doing kind of a net analysis between the returns. So um, this is pretty good. I mean, a lot of times I have to say, like, obviously I'm somewhat biased because I work for Annuities Genius, but um, this is pretty cool as far as giving you like the real breakdown of everything and being able to get like the whole why behind why this product would work for them. And so yeah, I like this. This is pretty good. And so again, I can back up here. I can go into the brochure, I can go to illustrate, and you can continue kind of going forward with this from there. So that's a good one. That's a good example. Um, and again, we could jump in and go through kind of more client communication. So let's say that I want to go through like a phone script. I've never done that one. So let's see what this comes up at. So again, backing up a little bit like higher level, the great thing about Annuities Genius and the real value that a lot of the features have is obviously like you can get a quote and you can get a product recommendation kind of a lot of different places. There's other tools. You can call your marketer. They can send you an email, get it. That's great. Obviously, that's really important. What really helps and the real value, I think, in our tool is the sales enablement piece of it is not only are you getting a quote, but you're basically getting all the firepower and details behind why are we making this recommendation, behind the strategy, the recommendations, the breakdown of everything. And then it's basically giving you like a sales process. And so if you're, not always selling annuities and not closing them all the time, you may not have like that confidence that comes with experience and successful experience. And so this is basically just giving you that confidence. So someone asks a question, has an objection, wants to know more details. You're not like going back and like, let me check that, and that just kind of sometimes kills the momentum. And a lot of the times just when you're pitching something or selling something, a lot of it's a sales momentum thing. And now you kind of can be prepared. If you have questions, you can easily access it. And so you're confident the client's going to fill that. And usually you're going to have a lot more success when you have that confidence. So here's our phone script that we can utilize. It honestly gives it word for word, which is pretty good. And so, yeah, I hope that was helpful. Our time is kind of coming up to the end. Um, Before we wrap up, any other questions that anybody else has? Let's just check over here. Perfect. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody hopping on today, especially with kind of our holiday week. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving week. Again, as a reminder, we do these every Wednesday at the same time, 11 a.m. Pacific. And so hopefully uh we can see you all next week. Michael, pricing, it's on our website. You can call us too. We can go through like any other specific pricing as well. We have our pricing plans on there. Appreciate everybody hop on. Have a great rest of a holiday week. We'll see you later.